have therefore, through the President, the magnanimity of the President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, done something that the people of the Savannah region had been looking for a very long time. We were able to create this region to bring development to the Savannah region. And the purposes of creation of this region has been manifested because we are beginning to see development, more development than at any time in the history of the people of these regions since independence.
Good morning, you're watching ABC News Ghana. My name is Epifania Clergy. Now, it's been 3 weeks of intensive campaigning since he began on 29th of April in the Eastern Region at Ekropon. He's traversed across the country, moving from the length and breadth, meeting them in the regions, carrying his message of bold solutions for our future to their doorsteps. It no longer is rallies, it no longer is podiums. Now it's coming to the people on foot and meeting with the key people in their regions. Well, this morning the flag bearer of the ruling New Patriotic Party happens to be in the Oti region, and he'll actually be addressing the clergy very soon in Bosachu in Dambai. So we'll be going there straight away because our colleague Lisa is definitely at the Bosachu Hotel in Dambai where she has some people on standby. Let's go straight. Hello Lisa, good morning. What is the news coming from Dambai?
Good morning, Epiphania. I'm currently here in Dambai in the Oti region where the Vice President and the flag bearer of the NPP, Dr. Bawumia, is here to engage with the clergy. I'm here with one of the clergy, Mr. Francis Ade. Right. Good morning.
Good morning, my dear.
How are you?
I'm doing well.
Right. What are your expectations? What are you expecting the Vice President to pinpoint on today's?
Let me say good morning to our cherished viewers, and you are mostly welcome to Oti Region, the heart of the region, Dambai to be precise. The expectation on the ground is mainly for Youth Connect. So the expectation is that what we have for the youth. So we're expecting the Vice President, the leader of our party, and the flag bearer to address the youths in Oti. And most of these concerns, he has them on his doorsteps already. So today we want to see most and much in the youth development in the region.
Okay. You were saying development. Can you name or say some of the developments that you want him to tax or do for you here in Oti region? Sure.
As a regional organizer, I believe in we have them in two phases: the human aspect and then the infrastructural development. So these two we cannot leave them out as far as development is concerned. However, we're just looking at one infrastructure. The government has done so much, which we could pick point from the government side. Looking at the January one, the Eastern Corridor Road, the Sino-Hado Road, which we cannot leave Dr. Bawumia as one of the championing that cause for us. So those things we can talk. And then the other aspects, which happens to be most of the times scholarships from the government secretariat, I've been able to assess some for the youth in this region, irrespective of their political affiliations. So coming up, I think we have a lot of resources in the Oti region. Looking at the iron ore that has been discovered by this same government, the NPP-led administration, Bawumia and another government, we're expecting that this will boom our areas here. Looking at the areas, these things count with responsibilities. Looking at the health sector, we will need our own doctors. So these are our priorities, that we should have people, at least scholarships basis, looking at the iron ore, the potentials in the region so that they can get some doctors. We will prepare ahead. In the next 10 years, we should have our own doctors to manage the region. Secondly, we should have our own engineers who will mine this iron ore, the nickel, the ceramic clay in KJB, the nickel in Jamlume in the KJB area, and then the iron ore in the Guan district. They're all over. We need our own people who will be engineers, who will be championing these causes for us. Of course, if they are from this area, they are going to serve us in our interest. And royalties will come to the chief too as well. So human development, these are some of the expectations we are looking for. Jobs for the youth, and this is where we should champion from.
These are the words from Mr. Felix Ade, the coordinator for NPP, organizer for the NPP here in the Oti region.
Thank you so much, Lisa. We'll definitely be bringing you more. Thank you so much, Lisa. We'll definitely be bringing you more when the flag bearer of the ruling New Patriotic Party begins to address the Clergy. Definitely when he gets to the Bosa True Hotel in Dambai, where he's scheduled to meet with them this morning. But before we actually move on to anything that he has to do today, let's take a look at a key message, something that has really been bothering on the minds of people. I mean, there was a time when one of the chiefs actually hinted at it when he visited them in the Afro region. He actually made mention of it, and something that puzzles most Ghanaians is that you have just barely 6 months, and they still don't know who the running mate of the flag bearer of the new ruling Patriotic Party is. And everybody is asking, okay, who is it going to be, who is it not going to be? I mean, is it what is the holdback? What is the whole breathtaking moment? Why is it taking him so long to unveil who his running mate is going to be? And there have been some speculations in the grapevine. You hear a lot of people saying, no, probably it could be this, probably it could be that. So, I mean, word reaching us and word going around town is that it falls between these two key people. We have Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh and we have Dr. Yao Osei Educhum. Now, if you're familiar with them, you realize that Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, who we popularly know him as Napo, it's been so keen that people are saying he is bound to become the running mate of the flag bearer of the ruling New Patriotic Party. Well, let's take a look at who Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, popularly known as Napo, is. So he was born on 23rd of May in 1968. He also happens to be a medical doctor and a politician. Now, he's a member of the New Patriotic Party, and he's also a member of Parliament for the Menchia South constituency in the Ashanti region of Ghana. He was a former minister. He's still a minister, but he was a minister of Education then, and he's popularly known as Anapo, like I said, but currently he is the Minister of Energy. Moving on, if you look at his parliamentary election results, you realize that in the 2016 elections for the Menchia South constituency, when he was running, he was able to garner 35,958 votes. 35,958 votes for the NPP, as opposed to the NDC that was able to get 5,043. Now 35 is way ahead. That put them at 86.2%, and the NDC only had 12.1%. So that tells you how much the Menchia South constituency loves him. Now fast forward to 2020, you realize that the votes dropped from 35,000 in 2016 to 27,985 votes, and that put them from 86% to 84.7%. As much as the votes had dropped, they still had the upper hand, and it's still a stronghold for the NPP. Now, if you look at the results before we go to the results of Dr. Yao Osei Educhum, let's take a look at who Dr. Yao Osei Educhum is. So he was born on 9th of April 1964. He's also a Ghanaian politician and a member of the 7th Parliament of the 4th Republic of Ghana. He represents the Bosumtwi constituency in the Ashanti region. Now, he was appointed by the president, which is Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, as the Minister of Education in Ghana. Now, looking at his election results, in 2016, Dr. Yao Osei Educhum was able to garner 46,238 votes for the NPP when he was actually standing for the Bosumtwi constituency. And that gave them 85.8%, as opposed to NDC that had 7,215 votes, 13.4%. You know, there's a vast gap. The gap between the NPP's vote and the NDC's vote in the Bosumtwi constituency is really wide, because 46,000 and 7,000, that's a huge gap, and that tells you that it's a stronghold for them. Now, the people like him, and so they retained him. In 2020, it shot up from 46,000 to 57,939 votes, and that shot them they moved up and got quite the votes. Now NDC on the other hand had 10,388 votes. So if they are choosing to maintain him, and take note, he's coming from the Bosomtwe constituency. Also, Dr. Matthew Poku is coming from Benshia South constituency. So you look at both candidates and you're wondering, okay, this is not child's play. Both candidates have a strong foundation. When it comes to their home turf, they have a strong backing. So if they're racking in these votes when it comes to the parliamentary elections, imagine when they're actually taking, if the flag bearer should take either of them as his running mates, then that tells you that the numbers he's going to add to it. And the key thing here is about being able to increase your chances of voting, because whoever you're coming on board with, whoever is coming to run alongside you, should be somebody that is going to ensure that they're giving you a good chance. They're giving you a fair chance, in fact more than a fair chance, to be able to garner quite as much votes as you can, which is what you need, because come December 7th everybody's going to cast their votes, and we need to find out who is the best man for the current flag bearer. The usual parting would have been that the flag bearer would have actually been from the north, or we've seen over the years been a Muslim, but in this case the one from the north and who happens to be a Muslim is the flag bearer. So it's kind of turned the whole thing on its head, and it's people actually thinking, so who exactly is he going to pick as his running mate? And take note, the flag bearer has in no uncertain terms expressed his keen interest to build a golden age relationship with the church. So people are just expecting to see, okay, when are you going to unveil? And if the unveiling should be done, should it not have been done by now? Why have you not yet showed who your running mate is? Why have you not let us know that this is the person you're running with? Because if the person comes out now, that is going to let people know, okay, you're going to have a fair chance, it's going to give you this amount, this margin, that percentage, because of the following the person would come with, or because of the people or the crowd that comes with such a person. But he's still yet to unveil, and it tends to make people ask, do they have a strategy? Is this actually a strategic decision? Is there a reason why he is yet to unveil, as opposed to his key contender who was openly he just brought out who his running mate is going to be, and people are already making their decisions? Oh, okay, so this, that. Debate here and there ongoing, but this is something that has been held back by the New Patriotic Party, and as to whether that is a strategic decision or not, we're here to find out and bring you all the details on that. But before we move on to anything, do stay with us. We'll be right back shortly. Thank you, guys. Well, like I mentioned earlier, the flag bearer of the ruling New Patriotic Party is supposed to address the clergy this morning in Dambai at the Hotel. As you can see on your screen, he's actually arrived currently, and I'm sure there's going to be quite the pleasantries. He has to greet the people, go around and settling. So we'll definitely bring you the proceedings when everything is underway. But you're still watching ABC News Ghana. Moving on, yesterday he was in the Volta region. After traversing across the country, moving to the Savannah, the Northern Belt, the Western Belt, he came down to the capital. We actually met with some key labor union groups. That was in Accra, that was on Wednesday. But yesterday he went to the Volta region, where he actually met with the clergy in the morning. He also addressed the Volta Regional House of Chiefs. He was at the Capitol Hall. So we'll take a look at the key highlights from yesterday.
my campaign slogan, I say it is possible, because with God everything is possible. It is. And I believe that as a nation, we should not shy away from trying to be the best. We should not be intimidated from trying to be the best. What the white man has achieved, we can also achieve, and achieve better.
I want to bring in a new policy that will say that Ghana's import duty cannot be higher than that of Togo. We will be lower or the same. So we'll put a ceiling to our import duties to make it the same as Togo or lower than Togo. So in that case, the incentive for people to smuggle will go away, and they will rather come through. So those are the two major changes I want to bring in the import duty regime: flat taxes and realignment with Togo, who are our closest competitor.
Bawumia, as he was addressing the clergy early in the morning, and later on he paid a courtesy call on the Oti Regional House of Chiefs. And some of the key things he shared with them, don't forget, he's been pushing the agenda for digitalization, as he says, boat solutions for the future. And for him, the ship that is driving the boat solutions is through digitalization. He's basically honing on digitalization. I mean, training 1 million youth in digital skills, digitalizing every part. I mean, mechanizing the agricultural system, moving the country from oil and gas towards renewable energy, which is more solar, because we have more of the sun here. He wants to generate about 2,000 megawatts of power, which is more than half of what Akosombo is currently generating. He also wants to turn the urban transport, he wants to move it away from what we currently use to electric buses. And for that, he said there's 200 buses already on the way, which is going to be like a proof of concept. So they're going to actually try it and see how it's going to work in the system. Is it going to pick? How people going to react to it? And, you know, looking at our climate, our economy, how our systems, our road transports and everything are, the systems and all that we have. Let's see if it's actually going to be something that is feasible. Is it something that's going to last in the long run? Is the country going to benefit? Is it going to aid us, or is it going to actually make it, you know, more problematic? Now, the reason he wants to move to electric buses is because he feels that it's actually putting a strain on the pocket of the ordinary Ghanaian, because the minute fuel prices go high, transport prices go up, and it's affecting the average Ghanaian. So he wants to find a way to make things very, very easy for them. Well, after addressing them, let's take a listen to what the chiefs had to say.
Togbo, Mamao, I think we have all heard the very progressive and forward-thinking ideas and thoughts that have characterized this visit of His Excellency the Vice President. You and I are agreed that this country needs to move forward. We need progress. We need economic development. Let us listen carefully and ponder about all these suggestions that the Vice President has made. I am not suggesting any partisanship in as far as this is concerned. I am talking of the country called Ghana. We need Ghana to move forward. These progressive ideas ought to be made to bear fruit for the good of this nation. You see, we have had independence for 60-something plus years. We have very little to show for it. And therefore, when we have progressive ideas being brought on the table, we should eschew the partisanship and listen carefully and see how best we can move forward as a nation with these ideas. It doesn't matter who wears the hat. The important thing is that this country is going forward. And therefore, we should all embrace these positive ideas. I am optimistic that there is hope for this country. Let us all buy into that perception of hope and live it as a dream, so that future generations would not point accusing fingers at us when we are gone. And if we are not careful, they will even exhume our bodies and burn them for not being progressive in our thoughts. I'll say it again. This country needs to move forward, and we should all be on board. I thank you very much, Your Excellency, and we all are grateful for your wonderful insights. God bless us all.
Well, that was the response from the chiefs after the vice president and flag bearer of the ruling New Patriotic Party addressed them and shared his vision for the development of the country. Now, he didn't only address them, he actually moved on, and as is typical with his routine since he embarked on his campaign, he engaged in a market interaction. So he went to the whole central market and Lorry Park, where he actually interacted with market women like we've seen him do in all other regions. Let's take a look at that. But you can see him as the people are excited to interact with him. This has become his MO for this campaign. He engages with the market women, he engages with the taxi drivers, he speaks to the auto spare parts dealers. He's made it a key point to try and he is more like humanizing the campaign, coming down to the level of the people. I'm a person just like you. This is not the seat of government and then its citizens. This is about me coming to you to seek for your vote, your support, your power, and that is what they've been trying to push for. So you just saw that he was engaged, interacting with the market women at the whole central market in Lorry Park. Now let's go take a look at something very crucial. The performance of both the NPP and the NDC, because yesterday he was in the voter region, and that happens to be the stronghold, the strong seat of his main opponent, which is the NDC. Now if you're looking on the screen currently, you realize that for the voter region, you realize in 2016, the NPP was able to garner 60,802 votes. 60,802 votes. But fast forward to 2020, that number shot up, and it went to 101,084 votes. It put them at 14.1%. But in 2016, they just had 10.8%. That was the NPP. Now the NDC, on the other hand, in 2016 had 493,141. I mean, 10.8% to 87.7%. That's a vast gap. So you understand when we say the voter region is the strong seat for the opposition NDC. Now, if you move forward to 2020, you realize that whilst NPP garnered 101,084 votes, the NDC pushed forward from 493,000 to 606,424 votes. You know, the number for them shot up. The number for them shot up. But the NPP, if you also watch it, you realize that they also increased their votes. It didn't drop for them. As much as they increased it from 60,000 to 101,000, that's like 40,000 plus. Still, they could not meet up because the NDC was way ahead with the figures over there. Now, looking at the performance trend on the screen right now, so if you look at the performance trend for the voter region, we're looking at this from 1996 to the last election we had, that was in 2020. Now, don't forget, NPP is the blue line, NDC is the green line. So looking at NPP from 1996, they moved from 4.4% to 6.8% in 2000, and then 2004 they shot up to 9%. In 2008 they moved to 8.9%. In 2012 they moved to 7.4%, and then in 2016 they moved up to 10.8%, and in 2020 they moved up to 14.1%. From 1996 to 2020, they have never gone past 15%. They've not even got into 15%. But when you look at the line for NDC, because that is their stronghold, in 1996, that's when we're transitioning from PNDC era, you realize that they actually had 94.9%. But then it dropped in 2000 to 87.5%. Then it shot up in 2004 to 90%. Then it stayed on the trajectory a little, then came down in 2008 to 89.2%, shot back up in 2012 to 91.4%, dropped in 2016 to 87.7%, and then in 2020 it dropped further to 84.8%. But irrespective of the drops and the changes in the trajectory, you realize that they still hold the upper hand. They still have the upper hand when it comes to the voter region and the voting trend we can see on the screens right now. Now, if you look at that for Oti region, where he is today, you realize that if you check that for Oti region, now before we go to Oti region, this is the number of seats they have. So in 2016 elections, the NPP for voter region just had 0 seats. In the 2016 they had 0, but in 2020 they got 1 seat. In 2016 the NDC had all 18 seats, and then they lost 1 to the NPP in 2020. But moving on to the Oti region, you realize that for the Oti region in the last 2016 elections, the NPP had 74,275 votes. 74,275 votes. Fast forward to 2020, similar with the pattern for that of voter region, they also increased the numbers. It moved from 74,000 to 102,858 votes. So they shot up their percentage. Now, if you look at the NDC, on the other hand, in the 2016 elections, they garnered 136,257 votes. 136,236 votes. Now, fast forward to 2020, they moved from 136,257 votes to 181,021 votes. 181,021 votes. So that tells you that they still have the upper hand. But let's not ignore the fact that the NPP's voting party actually moved up a bit. It moved up a bit. So let's look at the performance trend for the Oti region. Now, when you look at the performance trend for the Oti region, in 1996, the NPP had 7.8%. Then it shot up to 17.2% in 2000. It shot up again in 2004 to 28.5%, and then in 2008 it shot up to 34.1%, and then it came down to 28.5% in 2012, and then it went up again to 34.6% in 2016, and then it went up just by a bit to 35.7% in the last elections, which was 2020. The NDC, on the other hand, from 1996 they had 91.1%, but then they dropped as the NPP was garnering, they were losing, so they dropped to 76% in 2000. Then it dropped further to 65.4% in 2004. Then it dropped a little to 63.1%, and then it picked up again to 68.8%, dropped in 2016 to 63.4%, and then finally in 2020 it dropped to 62.8%. Now, for the Oti region, you realize that the NPP had one seat in the 2016 elections, but they lost that in 2020. The NDC, on the other hand, had 7 seats in the 2016 election, actually gained the seat the NPP lost in 2020. So now they don't have a seat for the NPP in Oti region. That's where he is today. So I believe that all efforts are going to be made, just as we spoke to his campaign manager yesterday, and he said that they have a strategy to ensure that they garner quite a good percentage from the voter region, knowing that this is the stronghold of their main opposition. Like I mentioned, he's in the Oti region, and currently he's about to address the clergy. So let's go straight to the Bosachu Hotel in Dambai, where the flag bearer of the ruling New Patriotic Party will be addressing the clergy soon.
A school, classroom, or anywhere. So I had a politics, so it gives the impression as if we are not speaking the truth. And so when people are listening to politicians, at times their minds are it's not because we are seeking political power that we want to appear to be religious or respect the clergy. No. We cannot mock God. God knows our innermost hearts. We cannot. Galatians say you cannot mock God. So we believe in it. In any case, the wisdom, having goodwill is not enough unless God directs you. We interact with our people. We interact with many people. But you agree with me, eminent clergy, that the communion you have with your flock cannot be the same as we do. They come to you and tell you their innermost problems, what worries them, and they confide in you. So if you are looking for the best people who can let you know the mood of the country and the mood of the people and what the people really want, it is having regular relationship with you. And so we believe in it. The work that we do is the same in a way. In addition to your spiritual work that you do, I'm sure many of you here have been paying school fees for some of your church members. They come to you when they are in hospital, they are in need, they come to you. So in a way, you take care of the physical needs of the people too. But the work that we do, the President of the United States said, President Kennedy, politics is pursuing programs and policies that properly implemented will go to raise the living standards of the people. That's why we are in this business. And that is what is on the heart of our presidential candidate. He believes in that. But he believes that whatever we do should have the foundation of God. And all the places we've done, it's not easy speaking to theologians with color and all that, because they know the Bible commentary more than you do. But at times when we also listen to you, what you told us, we also try to remind ourselves that this whole business of representation, politics, meeting, having assembly members, somebody is elected to represent you at an assembly area, you go to a district assembly so that you can speak for your people, you can be closer to them and listen to them, and then when it's above them, then you also go to constituency level, then you have a regional person, then you have a national parliament. We strongly believe, based on what you have told us, Bible expositors, that it has foundation in scripture. In Exodus 18, when Jethro, the father-in-law of Moses, visited him, and he saw how Moses dealing with the Israelites, many sits there from morning to evening, overburdened. He said, no, what is it that you are doing, my son-in-law? No. Find able people. He didn't say find anybody. Able people who fear God, who hate covetousness. Put them in charge of the people, 100, 200, this, and let them deal with them, judge them. And if it is beyond them, then they bring you to Moses. So you see, when we talk about representative governance, democracy, the foundation is in scripture. It is. When it comes to elections, voting, which we will do by the grace of God in December 7th, you know it better. That in Acts 1:21, what happened? When our friend Judas Iscariot left, God could have said, oh, like you did many tekel or person on the Nebuchadnezzar war. No. What happened? Acts 1:21. They voted between Matthias and Barsabbas, also called Justus. They voted. But before they voted, they prayed, Acts 1:24, that, oh God, who knows the innermost hearts of men, will present for you these two people, so that you help us select one who is capable, who fears you, who will fit into it. And they cast laws to select just one person to add to their 12. Cast laws. We don't have the results in the Bible. I don't know whether in Bible commentary somewhere the results was written, but at least in Acts you don't have the results. But at least Matthias was selected. And now what, like I said earlier, he said what? Oh God, who knows the innermost hearts of men. And we believe in that. So God knows our innermost hearts. That we are not here just trying to be nice to religious people. We believe in it. And that you pray on our behalf, that God will choose people who will work for us. But as you well know, we live in the world, our society, a lot of influence, propaganda, negative things. So at times, by your guidance of the flock, respectfully, we are not here to respectfully say that go and talk to your church members to vote for us. No, that's not why we are here. No, not at all. Even though we will not be unhappy if you do it happens that way, but you will be able to advise the flock. When you listen to the radio, you listen to commentary, you watch television, so many things. People, for the sake of power, can tell lies. For the sake of power, can do all sorts of ungodly things. And then the flock becomes confused. Guidance, praying with them to let them know how things should go is so important. And that's why we believe we should have this fellowship, because it is so important. God uses all men. We are all creators of God. We can't limit the power of God. God at any time, and you know it better, revered clergy, from Chronicles, from First Kings, Second Kings, all at any point in time, even in the book of Judges, how Israelites will go against God, he will bring them a new judge, a prophet, they will bring, and in each one of them he tells how each person performed, even when God himself have chosen them, so that somebody will succeed his father, or they say he comes, he does a different thing. So at times you cannot judge a new king by what the old king did. And the Bible is full of examples. And we believe that anybody who allows himself to be used by God, God will also use that person. We cannot limit the power of God and what God wants to do. I have said it. My Bible expositors tell me that if you go to Numbers 22, you will find that even when Balaam was sitting on the donkey and the angel of the Lord came in front of the way, the human being, he didn't see the angel of the Lord. It's the donkey, the ass, who saw the angel of the Lord. And not only that, God allowed the donkey to speak to the human being Balaam. That is the God we worship. That's the God we worship. At any point in time, he can use. Didn't he say that if you don't worship me, I will let stones worship me? Non-living beings. We can't limit the power of God. At any point in time, he can use many, he can use few. In 1 Samuel 16:4, when Jonathan faced the enemies, he turned to his armor bearer. He said, yes, we worship the Lord. What restraineth God to save with many or few? That is the God we worship. And so when the propaganda comes, the God who says that I'm God of all flesh, whether you are from India, whether you are from China, whether you are from Russia, whoever you are, God controls everybody. At any point in time, he uses anybody to do what he can use to save and transform the lives of his people. And this wonderful God does it so many ways. At times we think that we are the only people who God can use or God is using. And you know it better. Even under the evil regime of Ahab and Jezebel, of all people. And when Prophet Elijah was fighting them, running away, fighting them, Prophet Elijah thought that he was the only one fighting for the Lord. But the Bible says, 1 Kings 18, that there was Obadiah who feared God, even though he was inside the kingdom. And so in his encounter of Prophet Elijah, he said, look, I hid about 100 people in caves of 50 inside the kingdom of evil Jezebel, who have not bowed before Baal. So that is God we serve. And so with all the negative things that will come, let's not limit our God. At any point in time, anybody who has a good heart, and in this secular work that we do of political organization and the management of the country through political power, the person who fears God, who has a good heart, who upbringing and his whole philosophy of life is to make sure that the downtrodden, the vulnerable people are supported. You see, politicians, they say we make promises at times we don't fulfill. But in our case, as I earlier on said, you do politics to satisfy the innermost aspirations of the people. We are in Oti Region. If you read this book, Ghana Regional Boundaries National Integration, from 1937, 1945, 1954, the people in this area, Clergy and the other area, all this area, they wrote a letter to the Queen of England about wanting their own region before independence. And from all governments that have come, they petitioned. In 2016, when we formed our manifesto committee, it was chaired by Dr. Bawumia. At that time, he was a vice presidential candidate. We made a pledge that no, you have to satisfy the innermost aspirations of the people. 1969 Constitution, 1979 Constitution, 1992 Constitution have a whole chapter on how to create new regions. It's been there all along. We pray for wisdom, direction, because it was a delicate thing to do. We came here. I remember the faces of some of you. We involved the clergy. I can remember some faces here. And it was done. That is what it is. You make a pledge, you make a promise, and you do it for the people. And so we come back here once again, eminent clergy, and we beseech you by the mercies of God that you listen to us, that will present to you a person who, when we all met as a party, all of us throughout the whole country, and we voted just as scripture did, he was the one we elected, and we prayed a lot before we did that. We believe it's an answered prayer from the Almighty, that is a man God has prepared with a good heart. Who will listen to counsel, who will dedicate himself to the service of the Lord, and for that matter, serve his people. And we believe that as you pray for us, for the mercies in all the travel. We are fastening our manifesto. We are keeping all the contacts that we have here. We continue having meetings with you. We will give you the address, create a platform. Some of your brothers and sisters we met earlier on have given us suggestions about what we should do, because as I said, you are closer to the people, you know the needs of the people. Beyond road, health, education, and others, there are other things that you can express it better. So we will have that platform to continue to commune with you. And that's why we are here, beseeching you that you listen to our man that we believe God has chosen for this moment. God has his moments and seasons. And we are convicted that Dr. Mahmudu Bawumia, our presidential candidate, is a person we present to you to hold and to pray with him, that God will continue to guide him, that the goodwill in his heart, give him the chance, and together with us, Ghana will be a blessing for the future. So, eminent clergy, with the greatest of respect, I invite Dr. Bawumia to address us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my campaign chairman. I think you will agree with me that if Honorable Dambuchwe was not my campaign chairman or was not in politics, he would have been a priest like his father. I want to say, men and women of God, eminent clergy, as my chairman has said already, my distinguished entourage here with me, I want to say good morning to all of you. I am most honored and most privileged to be with you today in Dambai. As you know, I am standing before you as the presidential candidate of the New Patriotic Party for the 2024 December election that we are going into. And so the party elected me last year in November. And as I am preparing for this election, I have to put together a manifesto, and I have to consult across the country, because one head is not sufficient. God puts wisdom across the country, and so I have to consult with all the stakeholders in this country, and this is why I have embarked on a tour. This is my first phase of my campaign tour across all the 16 regions, to talk to the key stakeholders in our country. I am here on this journey that I've embarked to become a president of the Republic. But I know that it is only God who chooses leaders, and it is not man. For the good book says that unless the Lord builds the house, they will labor in vain. And so as I embark on this journey, I know, as I have known, that we have to put God first in the scheme of things and pray to him, for he is the one who will select leaders for us. And this is also why, in putting God first, when I get into any region, my first meeting is with the clergy before I go out to any meeting. I have so much to be thankful to God for. When I look back at my life, I am sometimes amazed myself as to where I have ended up today.
I have been a by-day farmer on the farm before. I have been a taxi driver before. I've been a cleaner of dormitories before. I've been a warehouse boy carrying boxes. I was actually quite good at it. I've been a teacher before. I have been a banker, a deputy governor, and by the grace of God, I've become a vice president of the Republic. It is only the grace of God. It is not by my might or by my power. It is only the grace of God. When I look back at my life and to where I have come today, and this is why I believe that with God, everything is possible. It is possible. It is possible because initially I never thought I would enter politics. It wasn't in my life plan. It wasn't in my career plan at all. I never, in fact, I remember my father once asking me if I will ever want to go into politics, and I said no. He says, why? I said, politicians, they insult them every day. So I don't want to go into politics. But as God will have it, within 24 hours in August 2008, I transformed from a banker into a politician. Just 24 hours I was given to make that decision. But I entered politics because I believed that I could serve the country in this position, that I could use the political positions to do good for the country. And this is why I found myself in politics. As I have said, I owe everything that I have today to His grace. If you look at our country, Ghana, we are a blessed country. As I travel around, and I have traveled a bit, I see that Ghana is very different from most countries, even within our African continent. Very, very different. We are very blessed, and sometimes we don't even appreciate how blessed we are. But we are very, very blessed. We are the most peaceful country in the whole of West Africa. And one of the most, if you look at the top 4 or 5 peaceful countries in the whole of Africa, Ghana is also there. What gives us so much peace in this country is religious tolerance. That is what gives us peace in this country. Many people come and wonder why we are so peaceful. We are different. We are a country where the chief imam of the Muslims in the country will celebrate his 100th birthday by going to the Catholic Church. That is the type of country that we are. 100th birthday, and he'll go to the Catholic Church, and a prayer will be said. And then BBC will carry it as a news item. It was a global news item carried by BBC that look at what is happening in Ghana with all the problems along the world as far as religion is concerned. You see the chief imam going to a church, and you see priests also going to mosques. This is quintessentially Ghanaian. It's very, very unique. Recently, I had the opportunity of visiting the Vatican. I had audience with His Holiness Pope Francis, and he's just too well learned. He knows so much, as you will expect. And he was telling me that one of the things he likes about Ghana is the fact that we have religious tolerance, and he advised that we should keep it that way. And I asked him to pray for us as a country so that it continues that way. You see, For me, if you look at my family background, growing up as a child, my father married my mother. At the time that my father was marrying my mother was a Christian. She was one of those girls from the north, very brilliant, sent to Wesley girls to go to school. My father married her. She converted to Islam to be able to marry my father. And then my father had 17 surviving children. 17, a football team with reserves. 17 children. But one of the interesting things about our family is almost unique in the context of Ghana, in the sense that, I mean, our many families in Ghana, interestingly, are similar because out of the 17 children, my brothers and sisters that we have, 9 of us are Christian and 8 of us are Muslim. The same family. 9 of us are Christian, 8 of us are Muslim. So growing up in the house, you had both the Bible and the Quran in the house. And we're reading all of them. When I was a child, going to school, I was a member of the Methodist Boys Brigade. I was a brigader, the Methodist Boys Brigade. Today, I still am a member because as vice president, I'm also a patron of the Methodist Boys Brigade of Ghana. So, my relationship with the church has not been today. I have had a close relationship with the church since childhood. It's not today that I am getting close to the church. I've been close to the church all my life, at home and outside home. And you find me in the causes that I champion. For example, myself and a Catholic priest called Father Campbell, we both have an interest in lepers and how to take care of cured lepers. And I am the patron of Ghana's Lepers Aid Committee because we are doing a lot for the cured lepers. And he has also recently made me a patron for the Mother Teresa's Soup Kitchen to look after the street children, to offer them food. But I'm telling you this so that you get to understand where my heart is as an individual going into politics. My heart is about helping the poor, helping the vulnerable, and helping our country to position us in a better way. I believe that God can use anybody to change a society. As we have in the Bible, God used Cyrus to help the people of Israel. But Cyrus didn't even know God. At the time, God used Cyrus. So I believe God can use anybody. A good friend of mine, one of my best friends, who is now a priest from primary school, and I am still very much in touch with him. And he teases me, says, "Mahmoud, can anything good come out of Wale Wale?" And I say, yes, something good can come out of Wale Wale if God says it is so. And that is the case. So I believe God can use this man from Wale Wale to change Ghana, to help us do God's will in Ghana. And so that has been, for me, my major call going into politics. How can I use whatever position God gives me to help solve problems? I have focused on solving problems that face our people. And I always believe that it is possible, by the grace of God, for us to do and so many things in our country. If you look at the general areas of development, you know, we have done quite a bit in the routine areas, even though we haven't yet finished everything, roads and hospitals and so on. But I have been focused on the future of Ghana. Right now, the whole world is going into a digital revolution. A digital revolution. In Ghana, as in many African countries, we missed out on the first industrial revolution, the second, and the third. The fourth industrial revolution is a digital revolution. And any country that does not take steps to be part of this digital revolution is going to be left behind. I saw this 14 years ago or so, 14 years ago. I wrote a book on Ghana and Africa in terms of our development. And in the conclusion, this is 14 years before I became vice president. In the conclusion of that book, I made the point that countries like Ghana and Africa have to start thinking about making the digital path for their economies, because that is where the world is going. And the world will not come and tell you that this is where you should go, because you are in competition. So I talked about the unwritten rules of the game that people will not tell you. If you are playing a game and you don't have a goalkeeper, your opponent will keep scoring. They will never tell you to go and put a goalkeeper there. And we are competing. And so we must make sure we have a goalkeeper. Otherwise, we will keep losing the game and we are not answering. So I said that the digital revolution is one that Ghana must participate. We've had so many IMF programs, World Bank programs, but none of them insisted that we have a unique identity for all our citizens. None of them insisted that we have address system for Ghana as a whole. We were just happy to go to the cocoa cellar and turn right, and the tree on the left and turn left, and all of that. None of them insisted that we should make sure everybody has the bank account in our country. So I started thinking about the possibilities. To get into the digital revolution, the fundamental thing you need is digital identity. This is something that even the advanced countries are now trying to do. In Europe, the EU has asked all their countries to issue digital identities, the equivalent of the Ghana card, in the EU countries by 2030. That is the deadline they've set for their countries. Only a few of them, like Denmark, have done digital identity. The US has not yet done it. They are now talking about it, trying to do it. But in Ghana, when we came into office, we said this is important for the future and to help us in many ways. So we have issued the digital identities, the Ghana card. Everybody now, over 85% of adults now have a Ghana card. We've issued 17.6 million Ghana cards. And that is very, very important. It helps us so much in terms of unique identity, because no more age cheating, no more fake passports and all of that. These things bring discipline into our society, because it gives respect to our data. When we present a passport at an embassy, they look at it, they check with the Ghana card data, they know it's genuine. Before, it was a bit of an issue whether this is genuine or not and all of that. And then
we use the Ghana card, for example, to deal with corruption with ghost workers. This is just one example. We had a problem of ghost workers since independence. Ghost workers, people working, but they are not at work. They are collecting pay without work. I decided that let us link every worker to the Ghana card so that we will know, because if you have a Ghana card ID, it means you have a unique fingerprint. So every worker should be linked to their Ghana card. When we did that, immediately the ghosts ran away. Because the ghosts don't have fingerprints. The ghosts don't have fingerprints. The ghosts disappeared. And when we did that National Service Scheme, we got rid of 44,000 ghost workers. 44,000. They were collecting money without work. That saved us 420 million Ghana cedis. 420 million Ghana cedis. We went to SNIT and implemented it, and we got rid of 29,000 ghost pensioners, saving 350 million Ghana cedis. 2 institutions alone, ghost workers over 750 million Ghana. Just 2 institutions. Then, of course, we've used the Ghana card to clean up the Controller and Accountant General database. And today we can say with all confidence that in Ghana's public sector payroll, the ghost worker problem has been solved. We no longer have ghost workers because the ghosts don't have fingerprints, and we have used it. Today, as happens abroad, I said that we should make sure when a child is born in Ghana, they get a national ID number from childhood. So what did I do? What did we do? We linked up the NIA database with the National Health database, Ghana Health Service database, and with the Births and Deaths Registry. We integrated the 3 databases, NIA, Ghana Health Service, and Births and Deaths Registry. So today, if a child is born here in Dambai and you take the child for weigh-in, that child can be given or will be given 2 IDs. NIA ID, the Ghana card ID for the child, and the birth certificate ID for the child at the same time. This is what happens abroad. We have also seen it happening in Ghana. And it is going to save us a lot. Right from childhood, you have a database of everybody. On the 17th or so of next month, I will be launching the Ghana card issuance for all the school children in Ghana, from the age of 6 through to 15, so that we complete the whole cycle. And Ghana will have a complete database, which was critical for this digital revolution. Of course, with the Ghana cards, you can do so much with it. Even if you travel abroad today and you lose your passport, because we've linked it to the ICAO database, you can take your Ghana card and board a plane and come back to Ghana. You can't take it to travel out of Ghana though, but because we've not yet linked for that purpose. But travel into Ghana across 44,000 airports in the world, you can do exactly that. And that is very, very important for us as a country. Another problem that we've had since independence was that we didn't have a complete address system in Ghana. Addresses were only available in the rich neighborhoods, not in the villages, not in the poor neighborhoods. So we decided that we should go digital and bring an address system into Ghana. And therefore, we implemented
Ghana's digital property address system. Today, every location in Ghana, whether it's in the village or the town, anywhere has a digital address. You can go anywhere and get the directions on your mobile phone to any part of this country. And we therefore have a digital address. We are only the second country in the whole world to implement a digital address system. The whole world, the second country to do so. And this is why I keep saying that it is possible for us to do what many have not been able to do. Then we had a problem of access to financial services. Many of our people, our population did not have access to financial services. And we said, let's make it possible for our people to have access to financial services. Very few people had bank accounts. Many people had mobile money accounts, but you couldn't transact across different networks. If you were a Vodafone, you couldn't send money to MTN or to Tigo. So I said, let us implement mobile money interoperability so that you can send money from one telco to another, but also more importantly, something that had not been done, to have interoperability between the Momo account and the bank account. So you can move money from a bank account to a Momo account to a bank account. And you can also receive remittances from abroad and it will come to your mobile phone rather than going to Western Union to do it. When I said that we are going to do mobile money interoperability, many people just didn't believe it. They didn't think it was possible because no country in Africa had done it. And we were the first to do it. And we have done it. And today, we are now number one in Africa in terms of the growth of the mobile money market. For the last few years, we've been number one. We are also number one in Africa in terms of access to financial inclusion. Ghana is ranked number one, and we have 100% access to financial inclusion. If you don't have a bank account or a Momo account, it's only because you don't want one. If you want one today, you can get one. It's 100% access, and we are the only country on the continent with that type of access, and that is really helping grow our financial access in this country. One of the things that we've also done, which I have been championing, is to network and digitalize our hospital records. So far, we are one of the problems you have that when you go to the hospital, they'll have to look for your folder. If you are not lucky, they may not find your folder. If they don't find your folder, you have a problem. The doctor doesn't have your medical history. How do you do it? So this was a big problem for us. And we said, look, let us network all the hospitals, link every hospital to one another so that the hospitals can talk. And then also digitalize the patient records. So we've started it. It's under the e-health project that we are implementing, e-health. So far, we have completed the networking and digitalization of records in all the teaching hospitals, in all the regional hospitals, and in all the district hospitals. So we have over 304 hospitals that we have completed. So it means that if they transfer you from Dambai or refer you from Dambai to Ho, for example, from a district hospital to a regional hospital or a teaching hospital, you no longer need to carry your folder from Dambai all the way to Ho to give them to the doctor. You just go with your ID number. They'll put it in the system and all your medical records will show for the doctor to treat you. You go from Wa to Kolebu, it's the same thing. So right now, as I said, we are proceeding, and by the end of this year we would have gone very far, and next year we would have covered even all the CHIPS compounds in the country, so that we have all the records done in that. In addition, one of the things that have championed, that we've brought in, you find that there were a lot of problems in rural areas, remote areas, when you have a medical emergency and you need drugs, you need anti-snake serum, you need vaccines, or whatever. In an emergency, there is a problem of delivery of those services. Some mother has given birth, is losing blood, and needs blood immediately. How do we get the blood to that particular mother? And many people die needlessly because we are not able to respond. It happened to my father, an operation that he had at the end of his life in Tamale Teaching Hospital. I was in the hospital. He underwent the operation. Unfortunately, he started losing blood. And we were looking for blood that night to give to him. We rushed to the blood bank. It was locked. The man had finished his work. He had gone home. We now were calling, trying to find him. Give us his phone number. We got a number. We called. He never picked up. By the morning, my father had died. And so I was very, very interested when I heard that there's a company in San Francisco that is brought this new technology of drones, which are unmanned, aircraft, to deliver medicines, blood. When I heard blood, it triggered me to deliver medicines, blood, vaccines, drugs, all of that, to very hard to reach areas. So I took a team and we went to San Francisco. And I said to them, this technology that you have, we need it in Ghana. It will save lives. I convinced them, and they've come to implement the zipline drone delivery service. We have 6 zipline centers in Ghana. And I think one is around here, isn't it? In Clergy. We only have 2 more to go to cover Ghana 100%. Frunsi and Kintampo, those will be the 2 to go. But we have 6. And the 6 centers are flying on average about 100 drone flights a day from each of the 6 centers. And we are saving lives every day. Initially, many people didn't quite understand it. They thought we were coming to take pictures of naked women in their bathrooms. They didn't quite understand it. But today, people are appreciating it because it is a life-saving intervention. And what is so exciting about it is that all the drone centers are 100% manned by Ghanaians. There are no foreigners there. There are no foreigners. These are young men and women from Ghana manning these drone centers. And they have gathered so much expertise. And what is even more interesting is that the whole world, Ghana is now the leading medical drone delivery service in the world. The whole world. The whole world. This is where now the expertise is in drone delivery. 2 months ago, this company that I went to see, Zipline in San Francisco, to come and set up in Ghana, they came to hire a Ghanaian here to take him to San Francisco to head a team in San Francisco. Because of their experience, they're flying hundreds of flights all the time. So we have taken the lead across the world in drone delivery technology in terms of its practice and execution. We are the largest in the world. So I keep saying it is possible for us to even do better than what some of the advanced countries are doing. And I think that is something we should keep trying to do. We have digitalized most of the MMDAs. There are 1,517 ministries, municipalities, departments, agencies. We have brought them all, 1,507 of them, onto a common digital platform. which means if you are looking for a service, you can go to ghana.gov, you see paying taxes, you see the MDAs, all of them are there. And so 99% of MMDAs are on the Ghana.gov platform, digitalized, the ports digitalized, the passport office digitalized the DVLA, the births and deaths registry, the insurance. Today, if you want insurance for your car, you no longer need to go anywhere. You can get it on your mobile phone, and they will send you the insurance sticker on your mobile phone. If you go outside now, you can dial a USSD code and see if the car you are about to enter has insurance or not. If it doesn't have insurance, I advise you not to enter. You can find these. Today, you can buy your electricity on your mobile phone. Today, you can renew your national health insurance on your mobile phone. We are making life easier for Ghanaians. And this is what digitalization is doing. Another area where I was very passionate about was our free senior high school education policy. When we came into office, of course, for any nation, education is key. When we came into office, the very first or second day, when I met with the president, when we came into office, said, Mamadou, can we do free SHS this year? I said, Mr. President, if it is your priority, we can make it happen this year. And we made free SHS happen in 2017 in the budget. And this has been one of the most important, notwithstanding the challenges, it's been one of the most important social interventions that we've had in Ghana. The free SHS enrollment, because of free SHS, has gone up from 800,000 in 2016 to 1.4 million at the end of 2023. If you think about it, from independence to 2016, that's 60 years. 60 years, we had 800,000 enrollment. And then in 7 years, we've increased it by another 600,000 in just 7 years, compared to 800,000 in 60 years. That tells you that there were a lot of constraints, people who could not pay to get their children to school, and now they are able to go to school. And what is very interesting is that there are now more girls than boys going to senior high school. Gender parity has been achieved. In 2016, for every 100 boys you had in senior high school, there were 68 girls. For every 100 boys, 68 girls. Today, for every 100 boys, there are 106 girls in the senior high school. Today, it's difficult for the middle class in Accra to find mates, because the children of the mates have taken all of them to school. It's very difficult to find mates. And that is it. And their performance in school has actually improved. We were all worried about quality. But if you look at the core 6 subjects and WACSI, the performance has improved from the pass rate of 45% to a pass rate now of 64%. So the performance has really improved in that sense. So we've done free senior high school education. Recently, we have issued them with tablets to put all their textbooks on the tablet for all of them to be able to have, an education right on their hands and be part of the 4th Industrial Revolution. We have also invested in TVET education, the highest investment in TVET education in our history. 6 billion Ghana cedis over the last 7 years. And we have also made TVET education free for our people. And that has also increased enrollment in that. We have done Agenda 111, one constituency, one ambulance. And these are all policies that I have been championing in our government. And this is all that I've been doing. So a lot of people have said that I have been one of the most impactful vice presidents in the history of our country. And I am saying also that if that is the case, then make me one of the most impactful presidents in the history of the country. I have a vision for this country, and that vision is, I want to share some of it with you. For the sake of time, I cannot go too much in detail. I believe that this country should focus on agriculture. Agriculture continues to be an area where we have comparative advantage. We have huge land, we have water. That is a major thing. Water and huge land. Let's mechanize and do commercial farming. Mechanized, irrigated commercial farming will bring down the cost of food. We are importing tomatoes from Burkina. Our weather, our climate is better. Onions and all of those things. We need to do better. So far, we've done better in the area of rice. We have reduced rice imports by 45%. And if we continue, we will end rice imports by 2028, according to the Ministry of Agriculture. But we can do much better. Agric is one area. The next area I want our country to focus on is on power, electricity generation, and the cost of electricity. It is a major issue for our people. The problem that we have is that a lot of the electricity generation is powered by oil and gas. Oil and gas is expensive. Whenever there is a problem in the Middle East, immediately fuel prices go up. Then transport fares go up, food also prices go up, and we have a problem. So I have been thinking about this, and I've come to the conclusion that Ghana should move away from a reliance on oil and gas to a reliance on solar power. Solar power is our future. God has given us the sun for free. We don't have to look for foreign exchange to pay for the sun. Every morning we wake up, we are even hiding from the sun. It is free, a free resource. Let us tap it and generate power. Many other countries are doing it, and we can do it because we have the resource. Some countries don't have the sun, so they cannot really do solar power, but God has given us the sun. And so my proposal is that Ghana can generate 2,000 megawatts of power, solar power, in the next 4 years. 2,000 megawatts. 2,000 megawatts is more than half our consumption. And you add that to Akosombo, and you have a major reduction in your electricity bills. At least more than 50% reduction in our electricity bills. When I announced this on February 7th, that Ghana wants to go into solar power generation, I've had 2 countries that have come to say they want to support us in doing that. 2 different countries. Each of them says they can do 2,000. You know, so when they left, I said, then in that case, you should do 2,000 here. You can also do 2,000 here. But it is telling you that it is doable, and we have to do it. By the grace of God, we'll do it. But I don't want us to just, because 2,000 megawatts will mean a lot of solar panels. Kofi Jamesi is here. He's CEO of Bui Power. He knows what it takes to do even 10 megawatts. It's a lot of land space and a lot of solar panels. So I don't want us to get into the importing of solar panels mentality. We are going to need a lot of solar panels, so we should set up the factory here and manufacture the solar panels here. We shouldn't go and be importing. The technology is there to make the solar panels. So let's set up the factories. It will be a lot of solar panels. So the factory will generate a lot of jobs. And then even if we have excess, we can export to our neighboring countries. So it has to be that way inclined. The third major policy reform I want to bring into Ghana is to change our tax system. The tax system has become burdensome, it is not transparent, and it is difficult to enforce. Many businesses, when the GRA brings a tax bill, they don't agree with them. There's always conflict. They don't even understand it. The GRA will say, if you don't pay, we'll shut down your shop. Or we are going to sit down and watch you sell. They call it invigilation. They will sit down by your till for months watching you sell. And that frightens your customers away when they come in and see GRA by your till. And so I have been really thinking the last couple of years about the tax system. How can we make our tax system simple, transparent, easy to comply with? And so we did a study, and I found out that the most tax competitive country in the whole world is Estonia, the country called Estonia. They are number one in tax competitiveness in the world for the last 10 years in a row. 10 years they are number one. So I said, hey, what are they doing? So I took a team, including people from GRA and so on. I took a team from Ghana and we went to Estonia. And we went to see what they were doing. We met with their president, their prime minister, their tax authorities, all of that, to try to understand the system, why they are getting so much compliance and people are very happy to pay. The Estonian tax system is a simple tax system. It's called a flat tax system. Flat taxes. So individuals and businesses pay a flat tax. If it's 10%, everybody pays 10%. 20%, everybody pays 20%. There's no complication to know how much your tax liability is. It's just a percentage. It's like the tithe we pay in church, isn't it? It's a flat tithe, isn't it? You just pay, is it 10% of your income or whatever? Everybody pays. It's very easy to calculate. So that is the type of tax system I want to bring to Ghana next year. That we will move away from the current tax system to a flat tax system. Now, going to the flat tax system, of course, right now there's a lot going on in the tax area, but I want all of us to start on a fresh, clean slate, so that we don't mix the old tax system with the new tax system. So moving into this new tax system, I'm going to offer a tax amnesty to all individuals and businesses, so that we all clean the slate and we start afresh. So we will have a tax amnesty next year. When I was visiting the Vatican a couple of months ago, when I went to the Vatican, after I met with His Holiness, the Pope, Cardinal Peter Texim was taking me around the Basilica, and he was showing me different parts of it. There was a place we went to where some work was going on. So I asked the Cardinal Texim, what is happening here? He said, oh, you know, we are making preparations for next year. Next year is Jubilee year. He said, oh, Jubilee year. I said, tell me more about it. So Jubilee year, there's a lot of forgiveness in Jubilee year. And I said, oh, is that right? He said, I said, yes. I said, oh, then that is a good year, because I'm also going to forgive taxes in 2025 in Ghana. So we will do a new tax system, offer a tax amnesty, and all start afresh. The second part I want to look at is our import duty regime. That is also an area where businesses have a big problem. The import duty regime, not only businesses, individuals. I think the nature of our import duty regime leaves a lot to discretion. And so importers never know precisely how much duty they are going to pay. They import something and they think they will pay 10,000 cedis, they arrive and it's 30,000 cedis. And so I want us to bring in some predictability in the import duty regime. And therefore, I want to also introduce a flat import duty regime, its impact on our prices. So let us also respect our cedi. If we say we shouldn't price in dollars, let us not price in dollars at the port to start with. So I want us to say, if you are bringing in spare parts and you are bringing in a 40-foot container, the duty for a 40-foot container of spare parts is 20,000 or whatever cities. If it's a 20-footer container, it's 10,000. So you know, right ab initio, what the price of the duty is. If it's rice, this is the flat tax for it. 20-footer, 40-footer. If it's chicken, this is the flat tax for it, and all of that. It will make things easy and predictable. The second part of the import duty reform that I want to bring is to realign Ghana's import duty with that of Togo, our nearest competitor. What we are seeing is that Togo's duties are lower than ours. And so there's a lot of smuggling. People will take their containers and clear them in Togo and smuggle them into Ghana. So the new policy I want to bring is to benchmark our import duty, to say, as a matter of policy, Ghana's import duty will not be higher than that of Togo. We'll put a cap on our import duty. It can be lower, but it will not be higher. Immediately we do that, the smugglers will disappear. Just like the ghost workers disappeared. The smugglers will also disappear. And then the goods will come through Ghana and we will get the revenue from that. So those are the two major things I want to do. Then you also look at another major policy I wanted to implement. Is in the area of government expenditure and the empowerment of the private sector. So far, the reality we face is that government tries to do so much and doesn't really leverage on the private sector to do. Wants to build all the schools, wants to build all the hospitals, wants to build all the roads. But guess what? The capacity to do so is not as much. So we are left with so many uncompleted projects across the country, whether it's in schools and ministries, roads, and so on, because we always run up against a financial constraint. But I believe that government should realign its expenditures, reduce the expenditures, and allow the private sector to do the spending in many, many areas. And you'll see projects completed. I give two examples. One, you go to Legon or you go to Tech, all the hostels are built by the private sector. It's not government that built them. And then we rent it from the students who rent from them, and they have hostels. There's no private sector hostel that is not yet completed after 10 years. They all know that once they finish, they will be renting them. So they hurry up and finish. And that is what happens. The whole digitalization area has been driven by the private sector. It's not government that is spending the money ahead for Ghana Cardo. It's the private sector. Is Ghana.gov is the private sector. Ghana, the digital address system, virtually all of our privatization, of our digitalization projects are being funded by the Ghanaian private sector. And so I believe that we should take that into account and make sure that so many things that the government is trying to do, let us interest the private sector to do it for us. We can bring down our expenditure and allow the private sector to do that expenditure. We have many uncompleted roads. In many, many countries, the road budget is not fully on the government budget. Many countries, the road budget is funded by tolls. It's funded by tolls. If you try to put Ghana's road budget completely on our government budget, many projects will not be finished. You get to Cote d'Ivoire, for example, they are very nice roads, but most of them are built and funded with tolls. So I want a broad-based toll system so that we can collect monies to use to pay the private sector so that we can complete many of our roads and so on. And that is going to be very, very important. So, because if you want to buy school buses for all 700 secondary schools in Ghana, government now will have to wait and accumulate money to buy 700 buses, pay cash. Why don't you allow the private sector to supply 700 buses to the schools, and then we'll lease them and pay every month bit by bit by bit, and then there will be no burden on the budget. You can have services across and you will have so much to do. So that is another major thing. Another major reform I want to bring into Ghana is to bring a close relationship between the church and faith-based organizations and the government. I believe that government has not taken advantage of the church as a development partner, of our faith-based organizations as development partners. We always think of development partners as those who are abroad. USAID, Oxfam, whoever comes from abroad, development partners. But how many schools do they build? How many hospitals do they build? How many universities do they build? The church and the faith-based organizations are our foremost development partners in the country. Our foremost development partners. The work that they do is just unbelievable. And so what incentives are we giving the church? The external development partner, when they want to do things, we say import duty exemption. When the church wants to do the same thing, we charge import duty. Isn't it? So we will change that. Whatever exemptions we are giving to our external development partners, we will give it to the church and our faith-based institutions. And I will repeat here, because I've said it before, there will be no taxes on church activities. There will be no taxation of church activity. It would not make sense for us to venture into that area, given the sort of help the church is giving this country. So we are going to exclude the churches from taxation. Then I want to also make a comment on LGBTQ. It is not consistent with our values in Ghana. The church doesn't allow it, the Bible doesn't allow it, the Quran doesn't allow it. So it's no, no, and no to LGBTQ. We will never agree. We will never agree to this practice. We will defend our values, no matter the cost. We will defend our values. And so, rest assured, I will make sure we protect our values. We will never accede to any pressure from any quarters in the world for us to accept that practice. We have our values and we will protect them. We are not going to. We will not go. We are a godly country and we will not do what God does not like. Otherwise, this country will not get the blessings that we are getting. We will not get the blessings that we are getting. We will not do it. We will not do it today. We will not do it tomorrow. We will not do it ever. As far as we are, we've made that situation very, very clear. And that is where we are going as a country. I want to give free tertiary education for persons with disabilities. Persons with disabilities should have free tertiary education, and we should also have quotas in our employment for persons with disabilities, because they are always left out. If you leave them to go through the competitive process, they will not be hired, but they are very sharp. And so on. I also want to focus on job creation for the youth. Train 1 million youth in digital skills. They don't even need university certificates or polytechnic certificates. They just need to be able to read and write. Our youth are very skilled in the technical area, in the digital area. We could train 1 million of them. And they don't even need to travel abroad to work. They can sit down with their laptops in Ghana and be working in Australia, in Germany, in Japan, in the United States. So I believe that this country, we can change this country. We have a lot of, prospects ahead of us. I believe that if you give me the chance, we will transform this country. I have an opponent in this election. He wants to come for 4 years. He can only come for 4 years. I can come for 8 years. So that means that in 4 years' time, I'll come back to you for accountability. And you can ask me, Dr. Bawumia, you said this was what you was going to do. Have you done it? So I will now have to work very hard because I know I'll come back. You hold me accountable. So give me the chance. I believe that with me, you will get accountability. And I will do a whole lot for you. I believe Ghana is really a blessed country and we are going to achieve so much. And I ask for your prayers in this venture. I ask for your support. God bless all of you and thank you very much.
Thank you, Excellency Dr. Alhaji Muhammad Bawumia. In Proverbs 11:25, you waters must be watered himself. We are so thankful for the free SHS. We are so proud of you, the creation of Oti Region. We are here with the clergy. With all seriousness, we will give 4 of our clergy the chance to contribute or suggest or any question to His Excellency. Thank you. When you raise your name, and then you have given your name out.
Can I start?
Yes.
I'm Reverend Samuel Okwampa from Biakunye district. I heard you did mention about the churches, and I want to ask if God gave you the opportunity to become the president of Republic of Ghana, will you support the church in terms of supporting the church as maybe you'll be giving some honorarium, as we've been saying, as ministers or clergymen, to support the church? That's my question.
That is a nice one, of course. To the second place at a time. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, His Excellency. I just want to ask a question. You made a lot of illustrations and we've not heard anything about sanitation. I want to know if your digitalization platform or what we are creating can affect positively our sanitation in the country. Is there any way that digitalization can bring positive impact, and how will you do it? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please, when you wake up, you mention your name, your church, your ministry, or something like that would help us. So please, your name and your church.
My name is Reverend Samuel Nugbe, Go Ye Faith Ministry from Domabi.
That is from Apostle Samuel Asiam the late. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Reverend Benson Mark Williams, the pastor of Royal Redeemed Outreach Ministry, Bodada under Jessica District. I really thank God for the life of the Vice President and the President to be, if God permit. So much touched by the delivery from the first speaker, followed by the president-to-be, if God permits. All that is said is so clear. He has brought so many good points, of which we believe that, I believe personally that if all these things are implemented, Ghana is surely going to move forward. But I have some few points to suggest and say, when the president-to-be, if God permit, is delivering, he made mention of a gentleman taken from Ghana here to the company that brought drone to help them do the supplies there. And this shows that Ghanaians are very smart, they are very brilliant, they can do a lot, as we know. And then also many things that Ghanaians are doing. Please, we have a lot of resources, even as is mentioned that Ghana, we are blessed. But yet still, with the name independent, Ghana being one of the first countries to have independence, we are still depending on other countries for most of our things. Please, if it will be possible, I believe that your great visions should also include these, everything in Ghana should be managed by Ghanaians. And then you have also mentioned of the import, that to be even same as or less than that of Togo. I believe that is going to help us so much. And with that, I know Ghana will be. And my prayer is that, as you've all said, it has happened in the book of Acts. You've mentioned it. If it's the Lord's will, the presidency will come to you. Thank you.
Thank you indeed. If it's God's will, the presidency will come to pass, and so shall it be. Let's take a quick one from Mrs. Afre.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Excellency. You may mention something about Greek. My name is Bishop Mambanasim from Apostle Greek Commission Church, Basa, in Quentin-North. I'm also the chairman of the Council of Churches over there. You mentioned something about a Greek, and I want to know, when you become president, God's willing, what will you do to help our small-scale farmers in the country, especially in the northern sector? Amen.
Thank you. For the gender's sake, we have Mrs. Reverend Afre here. She also contributed to the bill.
Thank you very much. A lot of teachers are complaining about the way they are being treated in the country. Their salary is nothing to talk home about, and now they have to write the licentiate exams and a whole lot. We heard a lot from you, but I didn't hear anything about teachers who are the grassroots and the tomorrow of the country. So if you have something, tell us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We shall say some answers from His Excellency Dr. Harry Mahmoud Bawumia. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that Reverend Samuel Okwampa started, I think, with the questioning and how we are going to support the church, as I have said. As I've said, that I believe the church are our foremost development partners because of what they do in areas like health, in education, and so on. And in fact, just looking after people, the many problems that normally should go to a government will end up at the church, for example, because somebody has a problem, personal problem, and then it will be dealt with at that point. And so this is why we are saying that given the sort of work the church is doing, we should never tax the churches. That is very important. It's not a profit-making business, right? That is one. The other thing that I've said is that let us provide the churches the sort of incentives that we provide other development partners, so that if they want to undertake certain major projects that they do all the time and they need import duty exemptions, we should give them those import duty exemptions. Recently, for example, also we have through the GET fund built a major we are building a major, I just cut the sword, for Trinity College, a major accommodation facility for Trinity College. Normally, you would have said that it's only for government schools that get funds should do, but we said that this is a faith-based institution, a church that is providing so much, and so we should support them in providing the infrastructure in the college for the training. So I think that is the other thing that we are doing, but we have not yet had an issue of alawa for we have not yet gotten there yet. That has increased. Then we also had a question on sanitation. I think, as I said, I wasn't able to speak on everything that I would have loved to for the sake of time, but I think that one of the areas that we've done so well in, notwithstanding that we still have a lot to do, is in the sanitation area. The proportion of the population, we've invested a lot in sanitation facilities, a whole lot. And sometimes even we are mocked for investing so much in sanitation facilities. We have the proportion of the population that have access to sanitation facilities in Ghana, largely toilets and so on. The proportion of that population has increased from 33% of the population in 2016 to 59% now. That is a very big increase in the proportion of the people with access to sanitation facilities. And now a total of 5,400 communities, 5,400 communities have now been declared open defecation free in Ghana. 5,400 communities because of the investment in sanitation facilities. And one of the reasons why recently, I'm not sure if you have noticed, that the cases of cholera, you are not even hearing about them. Cholera, it used to be a major issue, but there are very few cases that are now occurring because of the investment in the sanitation facilities. Now, if you look at the question on digitalization and sanitation, one of the areas that we are working on is because a lot of sanitation is taken care of at the local level, at the municipal level, at the district level. That is where sanitation is supposed to work. From many district assemblies take care of the sanitation issue, and the funding for the ability to do sanitation largely comes from property taxes in many jurisdictions. So what we are looking at in Ghana is to introduce a property tax system by putting all Ghanaian properties on a common digital platform. In fact, that work has been completed. It's because we have the digital property address system, it has allowed us to put all Ghanaian properties on a digital platform for easy administration of property taxes. And I believe that once that is rolled out, and then you can see, even when I look at the system, each and every property I can see on the system. Each and every property in Ghana, I can see. You know who has paid, who hasn't paid, and so on. And I think that with that type of digitalization and an improvement in the efficiency of the collection of the taxes, I think that we will be able to do better sanitation. But in addition, we are commissioning a lot of recycling plants across the country. So far, I think that we are doing 16 recycling plants, one major recycling plant for each region. And we have one in Dambai here. So here we are collaborating with the private sector and doing 16 major recycling plants. And that is also going to help a lot with sanitation. Because if you don't have those plants, then how do you deal with refuse? How do you deal with garbage? You don't have a way of dealing with it and recycling it, then you have piles and piles of refuse all over the place. And I think that investment that we are making in these recycling plants are also very, very important. I think Reverend Benson was also asking about making sure that, you know, that we have Ghanaians who manage our resources. I think that is also very important. One of the areas which I wasn't able to touch on was our natural resources. I'm coming up with a new policy that will maximize our use of our own natural resources like gold. I believe that when we discover gold going forward, we should give it to Ghanaians to manage. 100% ownership by Ghanaians. That is where we will get the most out of our gold. If you look, if we don't do that, the gold keeps getting shipped away, and we don't have. So we need to support, and this is why I want us to formalize the small-scale mining sector and to bring in a minerals development bank to fund the small-scale mining sector in terms of equipment and so on, so that we can get the capital here to support the sector and keep control of our resources. We also had a question on the small-scale farmers, and I think that one of the biggest help that we can give the small-scale farmers, especially in the northern belt, is irrigation. This irrigation, that we are blessed with the white volta running all the way across. We have the prospect of doing the Pualugu Dam also, 28,000 hectares to help small-scale farmers, but you could have other mini dams across the white volta to help our small-scale farmers. We also want them to be able to access machinery and financing to do that. And that is all part of the whole agric plan that we are going to adore in the manifesto. We will release that very, very soon. And then the issue about teachers that was also raised. And I think it is a very, very important issue in terms of salaries, licensure, exams, and so on. I think it is something that we have to continue trying to improve the conditions of service of our teachers. Not only our teachers, but our nurses also are also in that category of looking to improve the conditions of service. One of the problems that our workers generally in Ghana and Africa have is the lack of access to credit or loan facilities. If they pay a teacher $1,000 in the US, that teacher is able to spend up to $10,000. If they pay a teacher 1,000 cedis in Ghana, that 1,000 cedis may not even reach the end of the month. And so, what is the difference? The difference is that the teacher in the US, Germany, Japan, UK, they have access to credit or loan facilities. So their $1,000 can allow them to consume $10,000 of goods. Why are they able to do that? They are able to do that because each individual in that system works as part of a credit system. And each individual has a credit score. Everybody has a credit score. So the lender, the provider of the loan, whether it's a car or furniture or a fridge or a house, can tell whether you are a good borrower or a bad borrower. They'll look at your credit score. If it's a good borrower, it's high. If it's a bad borrower, it's low. If it's a bad borrower, they may not lend to you, or they will give you a high interest rate. If it's a good borrower, they will give it to you. Now, Ghana, we didn't have this individual credit scores. In fact, in the sub-Saharan Africa, only one country, South Africa, has the individual credit scoring. And this is what we have therefore tried to put in place. Because we now have the Ghana card, and the Ghana card is linked to your bank account, to your Momo account, to your DVLA, to your SNIT, to your NHIA, to your tax identification, all of that. Ghana is now in the position to move to individual credit scoring. And in the next couple of months, we are going to start it this year. It's not next year. We will launch. The Bank of Ghana has actually provided the license for the individual credit scoring, and it will change the whole game for all of our workers. It expands the possibilities, your ability to get loans and so on to cushion you as you work. That will now be open, and Ghana will be the second country in sub-Saharan Africa to begin individualized credit scoring this year. And I think it will help workers because all the time there's always this struggle to make ends meet. But the reason we don't is because we don't have access to credit and loan opportunities like they do in the more advanced countries. And that is what we are now going to bridge. And I will launch it within the next couple of months. Thank you very much for your attention.
Two. So we'll take a quick one from you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I think Honorable Dambochi has established the protocol already, so I will stand on that protocol to talk. You have given us your vision. In fact, getting to the region and you decide to meet us first, it means you are putting God first. That one should always be God first. But when you meet God, you pray to God, you talk to God. God, this is what I want to do. God has approved it, and you don't see the man of God. Yesterday I was teaching at a church service on Lazarus, the death of Christ. When Jesus Christ resurrected Lazarus, he was able to resurrect. He stood up, but Jesus asked his disciples to untie him. He said, loose him and let him go. So if you talk to God and you don't see the man of God to lose you, you will never move. You will remain where you are. You will remain where Jesus himself resurrected him, but he couldn't move until the man of God untied him. So you have spelled out your vision, and we are well resonated with that. Very good one. But I have a word for you before you leave, and that word is peace. Whatever you do, Romans chapter 12 verse 18, as much as it depends on you, be at peace with everybody. The word is everybody, not only chairman and team. Don't be at peace with only Honorable Damboche, not only Honorable Jato, but everybody, whether in your party or not. Everybody. That is the word. Everybody. I know you will never fight. Even if a prophet come to tell me that he has a prophecy that you are going to fight somebody tomorrow, I will see him as a false prophet. It will never happen. But people will fight in your name. And when people start fighting in your name, then you have a question to answer. So the torch of peace, you are the bearer. You pass it on to those who are very close to you. They also pass it on until it reaches the grassroots. Then we will have peace. It is possible to win an election, but it will be impossible to rule if there is no peace. If there is no peace. So peace is the word. That one, we can't take it out. Whatever we do, we should go with that word. Peace. 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 That is all I have for you today. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you too. Peace is so essential in our lives. If there is a man to pray, there is a God. Respectfully, my senior officer here will be directing you to ORCC, where you would have to meet yourself for
a few discussions. So please, let's get one of us to pray for us. Please, we shall offer the vice president with the prayers. If there's a man to pray, there is a God to answer. So respectfully, pastors, please, shall we be on outside and then pray for our vice? Let's stretch our hands towards him, please. The pastor will do that for us.
Lead that for us.
Lead the prayers. Take over.
We are all stretching forth our hands towards the vice president and pray. Commit him and his vision into the hands of the Lord. Let's commit him and his vision. The people surrounding him.
Jesus. Jesus, we pray.
Now let's commit their journey into the hands of the Lord. You know, they are traveling very long distance to this place. Let's commit the road into the hands of the Lord. After here, wherever they are going, all the programs will commit them into the hand of the Lord. Also for Pesky Kumado, please summarize the prayer for us.
Father, in the name of Jesus, Lord, we thank you for a time like this. The Lord, we met with His Excellency, the Vice President, who is vying to be the President of the nation. Lord, He has spelled out all his visions to us. Lord, we pray, committing him into your hands, that may your mighty hand be upon him. May you protect him from every machination of the enemy. Lord, we pray that, oh God, without you, there is nothing he can do. Therefore, he seeks, oh Lord, your endorsement. This morning, I thank you that, Lord, even as he has gathered us, your people, Lord, to reveal his visions to us. Lord, we thank you that you will, oh God, help him. That, oh God, you know what you put in man, as he even said. Lord, I pray that you work through the heart, work through his heart, that his vision may come true. In Jesus' mighty name. Amen.
Thank you very much.
Amen. May that sweet fellowship be with us. Please, we shall all move out the clergy for a photograph to follow from the senior men to the down. So please, let's arrange ourselves outside there. And then from there, my senior man will be taking you through to the ORCC, where they have a good message for you.
You're still watching ABC News Ghana. This is a comprehensive coverage of the official campaign tour of the flag bearer of the ruling New Patriotic Party, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. Now, he just finished addressing the Clergy, and that was at the Basachu Hotel in Dambai. Today he's in the Oti region. But before we move on, let's look at the figures again for the last election results. If you're looking at the performance at the NPP against the NDC in Oti region, now you realize that in the 2016 election, NPP garnered 74,275 votes. That was in 2016. Fast forward to 2020, they actually shot up to 102,858 votes, whilst the NDC in 2016 had 136,257 votes, and in 2020 they also shot up to 181,021. So you can tell that it's clearly an NDC stronghold, because in 2020 NDC had 62.8% of the votes and NPP was able to get 35.7% of the votes. Now this tells you that a lot of work has to be put inside by the NPP if they are going to change these figures, because even in 2016 NDC still held the upper hand. And this is not just about 2016. Aside from 1996, since we moved on, it's been a strong NDC fought, and it's somewhere that if NPP is planning to actually garner quite the percentage of votes this time come December 7th, they're going to have to put in a lot of work. If you look at the performance trend for the Oti region, you actually realize that from 1996 to 2020, NPP, as much as they've been moving up, they've actually come down. It's not a stable trajectory. The trajectory has not been shot up throughout, because in 1996 it was 7.8%. In 2000 they moved to 17.2%. Now in 2004 the number moved forward. They moved to 28.5%, and in 2008 it moved to 34.1%, but in 2012 it dropped. It came down to 28.5%, and then in 2016 it went up to 34.6%, and then in 2020, the last elections, it shot up again to 35.7%. But comparing that line, the blue line, to the one at the top, you realize that they're doing everything they can to bridge the gap. Initially the gap was very wide, because in 1996 MPP was at 7.8%, NDC was 91.1%. That was quite the huge gap they had, and it's still a stronghold for them. But MPP is gradually able to get people to, okay, I'm voting for MPP. So people actually aligning themselves and then agreeing or going with whatever it is, whatever message that the MPP has been bringing to them. Between 1996 to 2020, there's been quite the increase, because from 7.8 to 35.7%. That's quite, you've accumulated quite a percentage. And come December 7th, if they're going to actually gain on this number or lose, it's going to be keenly dependent on this campaign, on the message that the flag bearer has sent to the people. Not only is he meeting with the clergy, as he's just done, and shared his vision for the country with them, he also has other engagements he's going to be doing today. And later today, if we're going to look at later today, he's also going to pay a courtesy call on the Oti Regional House of Chiefs. So it's something that we're actually going straight. And he just finished having a breakfast meeting with the clergy. He's also going to have a breakfast meeting with the imams. And then I mentioned a courtesy call on the Oti Regional House of Chiefs at the office of the Regional Coordinating Council in Dambai. He also have the Juma prayer. Today is Friday, and as it's become more like tradition, every Friday, whatever region he finds himself in, he actually engages in the Juma prayers. But this time it will be at the Dambai Central Mosque. Later he will also be engaging in a meet and greet and a house-to-house campaign at the Dambai Junction, Zongo areas and Saturday Market. I mean, this for him is the highlight. Not to put aside the Youth Connect Town Hall meeting, but this is the highlight, because this he gets to actually walk among the people, go to them door to door, talk to them, shake them. This is me. This is the message that I'm bringing to you. And then later on, he'll also be engaging the youth at the Youth Connect Town Hall meeting that will take place at the Presbyterian Church near the La Paz Park in Dambai. You're watching ABC News Ghana. We're bringing you round-the-clock coverage of the campaign tour of the flag bearer of the ruling New Patriotic Party. We'll be right back.
When you look at my campaign slogan, I say it is possible, because with God everything is possible. It is. And I believe that as a nation we should not shy away from trying to be the best. We should not be intimidated from trying to be the best. What the white man has achieved, we can also achieve and achieve better.
I want to bring in a new policy that will say that Ghana's import duty cannot be higher than that of Togo. We will be lower or the same. So we'll put a ceiling to our import duties to make it the same as Togo or lower than Togo. So in that case, the incentive for people to smuggle will go away, and they will rather come through. So those are the two major changes I want to bring in the import duty regime: flat taxes and realignment with Togo, who are our closest competitor.
to vote for me. I've proven I can do the work. So hand me the steer of the vehicle. Let me drive the vehicle. Give me the steer and let me take the vehicle and when you look at my campaign slogan, I say it is possible because with God everything is possible. It is. And I believe that as a nation we should not shy away from trying to be the best. We should not be intimidated from trying to be the best. What the white man has achieved, we can also achieve and achieve better.
I want to bring in a new policy that will say that Ghana's import duty cannot be higher than that of Togo. We will be lower or the same. So we'll put a ceiling to our import duties to make it the same as Togo or lower than Togo. So in that case, the incentive for people to smuggle will go away and they will rather come through. So those are the two major changes I want to bring in the import duty regime: flat taxes and realignment with Togo, who are our closest competitor. When you look at my campaign slogan, I say it is possible because with God everything is possible.
You're still watching ABC News Ghana. My name is Epifania Chukotokligui. Let's now get a perspective of the political terrain as well as the dynamics in the voter and Oti regions and the chances of the NPP making any significant impact in the stronghold of the NPP's opponents. Joining us is the head of Department of Governance Studies, School of Social Sciences in the voter region, Dr. Harrison Kofi Belly. Hello, Dr. Belly. You're welcome to ABC News Ghana.
Thank you.
Well, from your viewpoints, how will you describe the political landscape in the voter region as the two main political parties gear up for the December 7th polls?
Thank you very much. Yeah, the voter region still remains the stronghold of the NDC. But you bear me out that over the election period, NPP has continuously increased its margin or gains in the region. So, what is expected is, would this time around NPP be able to increase its margin in the region again? And this can be seen in the number of projects that the NPP has executed in the Volta region. These can also be looked at in terms of the quality of parliamentary candidates that the NPP is putting across in this election, and the attitude of the people in the Volta region towards the NPP. This is the context in which we can look at it. So we take the first one in terms of developmental projects. At least I have seen a list that is making the rounds about the projects that the NPP has executed in the Volta region. Notable among them is the dual carriage from the Sokode end of the region to the whole township. They are talking about some agenda 111 projects that have been undertaken in the region, among others, and also a number of astroturfs that have been constructed in the region. So in terms of development, you say that there are the marginal developments, but as to whether the people are satisfied with this development, that will reflect in their votes, and that will reflect in the demeanor of the people. I expected that the visit of the Vice President yesterday, especially the Youth Connect, I was there to observe the kind of people who will be coming there. But I was surprised the focus was on the leftist training teachers, nursing trainees and the teacher trainees. I don't know why the focus is on that. And the people, the foot soldiers, have been left out. Two, the quality of parliamentary candidates that have been put out. You do a careful analysis of the candidates, and you realize that this time round, the quality of people that the NPP is putting across is not measuring up to the quality that they put across in the last election. One, for Ketu North, you realize the caliber of Honorable Jamesi, who is no more running. He pulls the highest vote in the region for the NPP. This time around is not running. And who is replacing him? A lower caliber of person. You take Go Central, there is a friction between the executive and then the parliamentary candidate. You take Adaklu, it's not a measure. You take Agotibe Zofi, it's not a measure. So you go around and you see that the caliber or the quality of parliamentary candidates that are put across is what I think will determine, because they are the people who will be able to rally the votes. It's not the presidential candidate or the flag bearer, but rather the parliamentary candidates who are able to put the vote there. And you see that the caliber of people who are coming out, I, for one, does not see them moving that crowd towards the NPP.
Okay, so now you said the caliber of people do not measure up as opposed to those that ran in the previous election. I believe you're referring to the 2020 elections, because they garnered 102,858 votes in the last election. But when you say the caliber of people now are not measuring up, what are they lacking that their predecessors had? What gave them the ability to pull the crowd, which you believe this current set of people will not be able to do?
Compare with the candidates of the NDC. You look at how the person has related to voters in the constituency, what the candidate has done in the constituency. It is in that sense that we are looking at it, because it's not about a new person jumping onto board to say I am contesting because the opportunity has come. But the person who has lived with the people, contributed to the development of the constituency, that is what the people are looking for. And it is in that context that I'm saying that I don't see the parliamentary candidates of the NPP measuring up to that standard.
Okay, now over the years, what has largely influenced the voters' choice between the NPP and the NDC in the region? And are voters likely to sway their votes in favor of the NPP, given the novelty of selecting a nothing decent Dr. Bawumia as the flag bearer?
Yes, that is what I indicated earlier. So you take the election results and you do an analysis of it, you realize that in almost all the constituencies, the parliamentary candidates, the vote that they get is more than what the candidate, the flag bearer gets. You take, for example, that of Electoral. The last time he gathered the highest vote, and it is more than that of the president. You take Rohori, you take Central, you take Ketusa, among others. So that is why I say is the candidate who rally the voters more than the presidential one. Candidate.
Yeah, but looking at the fact that we currently have somebody from the northern part of the country, which is the flag bearer, do you believe that as we have Dr. Bawumia running, do you believe that that can sway the voters so that in this current time they can get more?
Sorry, the line is not fit again.
I'm saying that, do you believe that in this current time, now that we have a northerner standing as the flag bearer, do you believe that he will be able to gain more votes for the people?
Looking, discarding the political environment, the enthusiasm that was manifested in 2020, you cannot see that kind of enthusiasm in the NPP court this time round. And as I use the case of the vice president visiting voter yesterday, visiting whole, because it was just the whole letter constitution. It was people who were back onto the day. And the euphoria, the enthusiasm among the party food soldiers who are usually the carriers of information to the voters, you can't see them around. That is why I said yesterday I went there to watch what was happening there, and I was amazed that the focus was on the teacher trainees, nurses trainees, and then students in the second cycle institutions. But you bear me out that the majority of the voters are those at the grassroots there. Where is the connect? It is the connection that will pull the votes, and that is what I am not seeing at this particular time. Maybe it's too early, the campaign has not started yet. We work from June, that maybe the enthusiasm will go up in June, but we'll still be engaging.
Well, currently he is in the voter region. What are the elements that could go in his favor or otherwise ahead of the general elections?
Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes. Well, we're having some technical challenges. We'll be right back.
Your call has been put on hold.
Well, we'll definitely bring you the rest of that interview. But as you've heard, I mean, he said he walked to the place to see the youth connect, and he believes there are some key things that are not the same compared to the last election. And if you look at the, performance charts that we actually put on the screen, you realize that what they garnered in the 2020 election was quite a number compared to what they did in 2016. So, but there's still more time. You never know what could happen. So we'll still bring you live coverage on his campaign tour. It's currently very soon he'll be addressing the Oti Regional House of Chiefs at the Regional Coordinating Council in the conference room, and we'll bring you live coverage for that. You're still watching ABC News Ghana. Do stay with us.